Hello, everyone, and welcome to Indiana Golf Magazine. I'm Brian Hammonds. Here's a look at what's coming up over the next few minutes. We'll hear from Jacob Modleski about his PGA Tour experience. Nick Bienz will discuss how it has become more difficult to get on the PGA Tour. And our Correct to Compete tip of the month shows us how to stay in shape during the off-season. But first, Noblesville's Jacob Modleski won the Jones Cup Invitational earlier this year, which earned him a spot in the PGA Tour's RSM Classic, which was held last weekend in Sea Island, Georgia. The Notre Dame sophomore missed the cut, but gained a world of experience. That's our Chariot Automotive Group top story. And Jacob Modleski joins me now. Now, I know you would have liked to have played better, but what was your overall experience like playing in your first PGA Tour event?
The experience was awesome. It's exactly as you just put it. You know, golf sometimes happens. Obviously, you always want to go in and play your best golf, and sometimes you have it and sometimes you don't. But the experience was awesome. And just being able to be inside the ropes and see some of the guys you're normally watching on TV up close in the locker room, it was really cool.
Did any of the veteran players kind of take you under their wing and show you the ropes at all?
No, not really. I definitely had a few conversations with a couple guys, but nothing too serious. I think they're all pretty focused. It's cool to see them so locked in, because a lot of times you're seeing their interviews and you're not really getting to see their shot by shot routines or how they're practicing. It was cool.
So what did you learn about yourself and your game last week?
I learned a ton, to be honest with you. I could probably go through and pick apart, every part of my game and what I felt like was great and what I feel like, needs to improve. Overall, I felt like, when I was playing my best golf, I played pretty well the last 9 holes. I felt like I could compete with those guys for sure. And I also learned that there's some areas in my game that just need to get a little bit better. Those guys are the best in the world, so it's always cool to, get out and see how your game stacks up.
Where do you think your game needs to improve to get to that level?
I think my short game needs to get better. I think I was pretty comfortable. I felt like I was just as good as those guys from easier shots. There are a lot of shots just off the green or kind of longer distance putts. But man, those guys get up and down from everywhere. There were some shots I saw them. They're 25 yards over the green or in no man's land. They hit it to 5 feet and make par. So I definitely think that part of my game could get better for sure.
What were the nerves like for you on a scale of 1 to 10?
I'd say they're about a 6 or a 7.
Really?
And I would say they're no different than a big time AM event like the USAM or a national championship. I feel like they were definitely there, but they weren't a whole ton different. I think in terms of nerves, they were similar, but it was definitely a little bit easier to maybe kind of have wandering eyes, looking at grandstands and leaderboards and things like that, versus in some of the AM events, it's definitely a little easier to stay focused.
So did that experience kind of whet your appetite to try to play out there on the PGA Tour someday?
Definitely, yeah. I'm definitely looking forward to getting another crack at it whenever that may be.
Well, Jacob, thank you very much for spending some time with us. Congratulations on playing in your first PGA Tour event, and best of luck to you and the Fighting Irish come this spring.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Well, getting an opportunity to play on the PGA Tour will become more difficult beginning in 2026 after the Tour Policy Board approved major changes. Here's a look at some of the highlights of those changes. You'll now have to finish in the top 100 in FedEx Cup points to keep your card instead of the top 125. The field sizes have been cut. Corn Ferry Tour graduates have been trimmed from the top 30 to the top 20. And Monday qualifiers have been cut back or in some cases eliminated. The trickle-down effect of these changes could really impact players like Indianapolis's Nick Bienz, who joins me now. And Nick, as someone who wants to someday make the PGA Tour, what is your reaction to these changes?
It's still so early, it's hard to definitively say. My kind of just quick reaction to it is that it's not great for the growth of the tour. I completely understand why, from an entertainment and media perspective, why they want to shrink fields, because it promotes more of the top players consistently all the time. But what I don't understand is why a lot of the guys that are those top players now were people in my shoes and guys in similar positions to me. And the best kind of quote I guess I've heard to describe the situation is people are saying they're pulling the ladder up after they've climbed it to make it harder for people in their shoes to now follow in the footsteps. So I'm not a member of the tour, so I don't get enough of the inside information. But for people in my shoes, it's definitely going to make it a lot more difficult to get to the tour.
Now, I think our viewers know your story. You famously Monday qualified for an event last year on the PGA Tour. Now, there were rumors that the Monday qualifier was going to be discontinued completely.
Yeah.
Now, that didn't happen, but they're still cut back significantly. Is that the biggest change for players that are in your shoes?
I would say for players without tour status, that is going to be the biggest change for somebody in my shoes. From a week in, week out basis. I would say from a career basis, the fact that they're limiting the number of tour cards and limiting the number that get through the Korn Ferry Tour from 30 down to 20 is going to make it a little bit more difficult. And then just the small change of limiting the number of tour cards basically through Q School from 5 and ties down to just 5. That's a small detail, but it'll affect 1 or 2 guys maybe. But Monday qualifiers, like you said, it's for guys like me that just go out week in, week out, just trying to catch a hot round on a Monday and get your way into the PGA Tour event. There was a stretch there where I didn't think that was even going to be possible starting in 2026. I thought they were going to take them all away. They are taking a good number of them away from certain events, especially the opposite field events, which is usually the ones that smaller guys like me will try to get into because they're weaker fields. If you get into them, it's usually a little bit of a easier time getting to make the cut and everything. But it's nice that they didn't get rid of them altogether, and they're just limiting which tournaments have them. And some tournaments are going to be down to 2 spots. But yeah, anytime you shrink the amount of qualifying opportunities, I don't necessarily love that aspect of it.
Will these changes affect the way that you look at your career path?
I think for me, the tournaments that, fortunately for me, someone just being located in the Midwest, the Monday qualifiers that I have usually participated in are fortunately not going to be affected. They're still going to be remaining at 4 spots, which is good. But, from going from Korn Ferry to PGA Tour, losing 10 cards, that's obviously going to be a problem for anybody trying to get to the PGA Tour because everybody knows that you kind of have to play your way through the Korn Ferry Tour to get to the PGA Tour. But for me, the Monday qualifying aspect of it, the Rocket Mortgage is still going to have 4 spots. The John Deere is still going to have 4 spots. The one that's going to be a little bit of a bummer is I believe the opposite of field event that happened down in Kentucky, which was arguably the closest one, is going to be down to a 120-man field, which means there's not going to be any Monday qualifier for it.
Well, Nick, I appreciate your time and your input. I guess, bottom line, the hardest tour to get on just got harder. Best of luck to you moving forward.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. It's, obviously it's the best tour on the planet. So I guess if you make it a smaller field, it does increase the quality by average player. But, the goal of the PGA Tour is to provide playing opportunities for their members. And right now it seems like they're providing better opportunities for their high-end members and they're eliminating opportunities for their low-end members. So hopefully things can swing my way and we can get our tour card in 2025 and not have to worry about it in 2026 at all.
In some other news, earlier this month, the 108th PGA of America annual meeting was held and several Hoosiers were honored. Crooked Stick's Tony Pancake was named the PGA of America's Professional of the Year. Crystal Morse of the Legends Golf Club was awarded the PGA Player Development Award. And Robert Koontz of the Pete Dye Course at French Lick was named the PGA Merchandiser of the Year in the resort category. Also, Keith Clark, the general manager and director of golf at Broadmoor Country Club, was sworn in as the new District 6 director. Congratulations to all. And time now for our Correct to Compete tip of the month. This month, our focus is on staying in golf shape during the off-season.
All right, we're here today. I'm Jon Hoover, Director of Instruction here at Correct to Compete, along with Keith Suttle, the owner here at Correct to Compete. We're at the end of the golf season, and we just want to try to do some things that you can do at home to maintain where you're leaving the 2024 golf season, but to prepare you for 2025.
So real easy exercises you can do with minimal equipment to no equipment. that are golf specific in nature, I would just try and do these 3 or 4 times a week. First exercise, angels. Just go ahead and press your palms into the ground. Take your right leg up and over towards your left hand. Good. Let it come back, and then we'll switch sides. This one is it's a pelvic rotation drill. I just want you to have a little tension from a band or anything, a cable crossover, and you're just going to fire the hips through impact. So just a good little stability here. Rotate the pelvis. Okay, so the next one, you're actually going to go on your golf side. I want you to rotate, punch, and it's almost like you're throwing an uppercut. So I want you to turn, drive, and press. Perfect. Get the torso turn. This is just getting you a little tension and power and understanding where your turn needs to be. All right, so this is a split stance row. All we're doing is trying to lock in the lower body, get a little torso turn, fire the lat, and just pull. Again, could be a little tension, could be a dumbbell. You could do this with cable crossover or any work that you have at home. Okay, this next one, it's a split stance torso turn. So we want lower body stability. I want you to just drive in the hands, nice, strong, stable. I would always do both sides of all of these, but for the sake of today, we're doing our golf side. Okay, so the goal of all these simple exercises are to understand mobility, stability, and separation and how it affects your golf swing. So a lot of what we try and do in the gym is just recreate movement patterns that help you stabilize your lower body, rotate your upper body with some kind of consistency.
And a lot of, really today, trying to maintain just over the off season during the winter so that we're ready for 2025. But if you want to be better, going through and working on these to see if we can create more mobility and speed and strength, we offer a TPI screening here at Correct to Compete at no charge to kind of really help you set up your 2025 game plan. Give us a call here at Correct to Compete or even book it online for your appointment for the TPI screening.
There are no events coming up in December, but make sure to shop Indiana Golf's online store on Cyber Monday to get 20% off gear with your favorite Indiana Golf logo on it. You can find it at indianagolf.tcommerce.shop. And on Giving Tuesday, make a donation to either PGA Hope for Heroes at pgahope.com or join the For the Game monthly giving club, which supports junior golf in Indiana. You can do so at indianagolf.org.for. Just a couple of ways you can support Indiana golf this holiday season. And that will do it for this episode. I'm Brian Hammonds. Join us again next month for Indiana Golf Magazine.